Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily. Coming up, Luka is a Laker officially. He made his debut. We're going to do a deep dive on that with Claire De Lune from The Guardian. Something weird is happening in Dallas. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we've got all-star replacements, which means somebody else got snubbed. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, S. Before we get started, guys, I wanted to tell you guys about Connection Sports Edition, a new game for sports fans from The Athletic. S, you told me you had a chance to give it a test drive. It's a daily dose of trivia, and apparently it's a lot of fun. How is it?
First of all, I love Connections generally. Me and my wife play it all the time. So having a sports version of this where we can kind of just rack our brain over different categories is exciting for me to do. So yeah, shout out to that. Connections. Very, very cool.
That's big news. We got that today. You guys can check that out at theathletic.com/connections. So go and do that. Normally on a day like this, we would be just starting the show hot and heavy, talking about Luka Doncic. You know, he's a Laker. But we got to go to his old team, the Dallas Mavericks. Number one, they were involved in kind of a crazy game against Sacramento Kings. They lost in overtime on a DeMar DeRozan beautiful floater where he just splits the defense with a nice
masterclass game from him. Yeah,
absolutely. Ugly game down the stretch. They lose Daniel Gafford. So more bad news. They lose him to a knee injury. We're not sure yet how bad that is or, you know, how much time he's going to miss, but you know, already without Anthony Davis after, you know, almost one game. And obviously they traded away Maxi Kleber. Derek Lively still out.
Right?
So luckily Dwight Powell still a Maverick. But we got to talk about what happened at the game. The Mavericks were on the, you know, doing the Jumbotron thing. And they find a guy in the crowd and he mouths on the Jumbotron, "Fire Nico." Of course, Nico Harrison, the Mavericks GM who everyone's blaming for trading away Luka Doncic. We had the huge protest at the arena, but the arena was packed. Fans were there. They were loud. They seemed like they were into the game.
Pretty great crowd too.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. A couple of fans were actually ejected. The one fan who mouthed "Fire Nico" on the Jumbotron, and another fan who apparently was wearing a T-shirt. And it took a while for the Mavericks to, you know, issue a statement. But S, do you have their statement in front of you?
Yeah. Shout out to Christian Clark from The Athletic who got this statement from the Mavs, basically saying that in the first incident, the guests brought in a sign that broke the following rule of conduct. It basically was about, you know, explicit language using clothes and whatnot. And then in the second incident, the fan wore a T-shirt that also broke the rules and was also intoxicated, disruptive, and uncooperative, all listed as things you can't do in an NBA arena. So that is the situation in Dallas. I mean, I don't think it's going to get any better from here, to be honest with you. Right?
Well, I'm not done with how bad it is because after the game, Jason Kidd just did not address the media. You know, I can't remember that happening at any point with a head coach.
It might be the first time. Yeah.
As the Dallas Mavericks are kind of on a speed run right now. I mean, if you think about this, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Mavericks. You know, if they're healthy, this is a team that has a chance to make the finals again. You know, we thought that they matched up really, really well against the Thunder. We just hadn't seen them healthy. And now all of a sudden it's, I don't know. Are they trying to tank their fandom? I'm like, are they trying to make everyone in Dallas angry? I'm not sure what the motivation here is.
Yeah, I don't understand the process behind this because you can clearly tell that, you know, Mavs fans are angry, and to respond with anger like this to kind of kick out fans, that doesn't feel like the process to regain that trust and that goodwill that you need to get from your fan base again. You know, I think part of the AD experience in his debut game was like, I'm here, I'm ready to go. It was giving excitement back to fans. And then to take that away and also add on to it with, you know, fans getting ejected. There's obviously like a security presence, if you will, with the protests and whatnot that happened in the first game the Mavs had back home. I think it's an interesting aspect of what the Mavs have to do moving forward. Like, how do you even move past this? Knowing that this trade will live forever, and you can't rescind this one. You can't go backsies on this one.
Right. Well, it's just such a weird position to be in because it really, like, you just sent away like this generational talent that your fan base was very connected to.
Yeah.
And now you're responding. You just kind of have to eat this one. I mean, this is part of what the paycheck is for, right?
Right.
You have to eat it. You got to sit there. You got to show up to the press conference. You got to answer for it.
Hey, even Dirk is not there.
Well, right. Yes. I should note, team owner or team governor Patrick Dumont was there and booed anytime he was shown walking to a seat. So, I mean, look, it's not great if you're a Mavericks fan. And frankly, this is very weird. So this is a developing story that we'll continue to follow, obviously. And as you mentioned, they lost Dirk. Dirk didn't show up for Anthony Davis's debut, but Dirk was out in LA for Luka showing up, Showtime Lakers. Yeah. And, hey, we're going to talk with Claire De Lune after the break. And so, she's there and kind of talk about the vibes. But just quickly about the game, look, they're playing the Jazz. So they're just getting their cardio in. But, sure. And Luka had a minute's restriction, but you can see the vision. I mean, listen, man, it's you're taking LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players to ever play, and you're putting him with Luka Doncic, who is this childhood prodigy who we all expect to be one of the greatest ever. And what do you know? They were both making plays for other people.
Awesome. It was really fun to watch offensively. I thought the passing, like the ball was flying throughout the game. And honestly, like you said, it was the Jazz. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But like the way the ball was zipping, it shows you the offensive potential of this Lakers team. The fact that Luka had a pretty mediocre offensive game himself, he wasn't hitting his 3-point shots, wasn't really getting to his spots, looked rusty because he had missed 6 weeks of basketball. But I think overall, you look at the playmaking chops of all these guys. And the other guy I got to mention is Austin Reeves, who has been playing unreal basketball, especially as of late. Obviously had that career night against Indiana. And now you look at a guy who is stepping into a role next to LeBron and Luka, where he's like, all right, I will get all the easy buckets I possibly can playing next to these guys. I can take advantage of it as a tertiary scorer. I'm also a good playmaker, so I can hunt out situations in the second unit. It just feels like a great opportunity for Reeves. And so, like, offensively, the potential of that trio is through the roof. We'll see how it looks defensively, because that's the question.
But when he plays with LeBron and with Luka, he gets to be like James Worthy, right? Finish plays, make a play here and there when he has to, and then he gets to run those second units. I mean, there were times where both LeBron and Luka were on the bench, and hey, there's Austin Reeves doing his thing. So everything is just working out great for the Lakers. What do you know?
Far,
it just somehow seems to happen. We got some injury replacements for the All-Star game. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to miss the All-Star game. Trae Young gets the nod to replace him. It seems fairly uncontroversial. I actually think Trae probably should have made it.
Yeah, he was next up in terms of fan voting anyway, so it made sense that they picked him. And then if you look at like the rest of the East, you could maybe argue Jared Allen getting in there in the Cavs run. But what you want to see Trae Young in the All-Star game. Right?
Yeah, he's an All-Star game player. And then this one was controversial, but Anthony Davis, obviously, as we mentioned, he's going to be out for a few weeks, maybe a month with that abdominal strain. Kyrie Irving. So they went 1 for 1. They named Kyrie Irving as the replacement. And a lot of people were upset by this, because it seemed like Domantas Sabonis should have been the next man in. But the truth is, Kyrie also had a good case, for an all-star season. I think if anybody there's a beef with, it should be maybe James Harden.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, look, I think Kyrie, you could have argued, should have been on the original list of the 12 guys on the West. So I think for what it's worth, if you look at the way, and by the way, Kyrie also, like Trae, next most fan votes. So they clearly just went with the fan vote aspect of this. Sabonis is always going to end up being that guy who gets snubbed. I just don't know why sometimes he gets disrespected from the all-star conversation. I don't know what it is about his game, but I find his game entertaining, like the way that it's a fun game to watch. But again, Kyrie, clearly a little bit more entertaining. The flash. Hey, think about it like this. They took away 2 forwards in the East and the West and picked guards to go with them, and Trey and Kyrie. So it's a guards game, you know?
Yeah, they're going to try
game.
to speed that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Guys, stick around after the break. We got Claire De Lune from The Guardian to talk about the vibes, the atmosphere, and what it was like to be in the building for Luka's debut in La La Land. Well, Luka made his debut, and the Lakers really know how to make you feel like you're, watching a cinematic experience. I mean, they make Luka Doncic look like a star. They laid out these T-shirts. Did you see this? Like, it was kind of crazy.
It was
Claire
awesome.
De Lune, national NBA writer for The Guardian, was in the building for us. So she's like building. Our eyes and ears on the ground tonight. First of all, welcome to the show. You're making your debut here. And second, what was it like in the building? Looked cool on TV.
It was incredible. He couldn't have received a warmer reception. Obviously, I feel like this was a great first game. It was a blowout essentially from the first quarter on. So I think the nerves were gone pretty quickly, and the crowd was just, every time he checked in, every time he touched the ball, it was just like the loudest cheers. It was definitely a playoff atmosphere in here. The crowd was hype, and it was beautiful. It was a really beautiful moment.
Leading up to this moment felt special too, because it like there was so much anticipation. You thought he was going to play on Saturday versus Indiana. Didn't end up happening. And now he plays tonight. And so there was this like kind of commotion building up to tonight.
Yeah.
And now he had that debut. There were so many components to it where it felt like they kind of made it feel like home to him. Obviously, the jerseys were a big part. I don't know if you guys saw the Gatorade thing that they had the Hollywood sign. They flipped
the 2
it
L's,
with the 2 L's and made it 77, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Trying to make it feel like more home. Was there anything else that the Lakers did that you noticed in arena that made it feel like home for him?
Yeah, for sure. I was watching Luka warm up, and they were actually playing, I think it was Serbian music during his warm up. So I think they were definitely trying to make him feel at home. I mean, everything about tonight seemed like it was just the crowd and the team and everyone trying to welcome him with open arms. And from his reaction at the presser, it seemed like he really felt that love, and he seemed really touched, honestly. He was he was just beaming from ear to ear throughout the whole presser. Sorry, I'm in the middle of an arena being taken down at the moment, so apologies for any extra noises.
No, it's okay. So, let's talk about the on-court product, because that's what we're here for. Luka and LeBron, they both start the game. LeBron throws a lob. Luka comes back the next possession, throws a lob, and you start to see, there's so much playmaking out there. And then Luka hits LeBron with the hit-ahead for the transition layup.
So cool.
And that's sort of what this is all about, right? Like, we all sort of envisioned, oh, wow, Luka to LeBron is going to be something we'll be watching for the next few months as the Lakers make this push. What do you think about what that offense is going to be capable of?
I mean, for me, I'm just like chomping at the bit. As someone who's been watching this team, first of all, I think something that's been kind of underreported in all of this is they've been awesome for basically since Christmas. They've been incredible with AD, without AD, with LeBron, without LeBron. So they've just been really clicking, and the team has incredible chemistry right now, and Luka got to come be a part of that. So that's worth mentioning. But I don't really know. Obviously, the defensive issues are what they are, but I don't know how you guard Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. And you have to have the most incredibly versatile, fast moving perimeter defenders.
Right. Yeah.
In the league. Like, I can only think of a handful of teams that even really have a chance. You double one of them, you've got 2 others out there that could absolutely cook, and like all of them can pass, all of them can handle the ball. So I think it's going to be incredible. And obviously the LeBron Luka 2-man game is already amazing. So.
Was there anything from JJ or Luka tonight post game that they mentioned sort of the offensive fit and what they see potential wise with this team?
I think they were mostly just talking about sort of like the offense in general and how it's looking. I think JJ's been really careful to sort of give everybody some shine in this time where Luka's getting all this attention and credit. Yeah. And but I think that just the offense in general is looking really good. The ball is moving. And like I said, that you've got 3 elite playmakers out there, some of the highest basketball IQs that have ever touched a basketball court. So I think the offense is destined for success. The defense is where they might run into some issues. But I will say that having someone to take more of that offensive load off of LeBron, off of Austin Reeves, kind of opens the door for them to have a higher ceiling on their defense. And I think you've already started to see that.
Obviously Luka has been injured. He's been out of the lineup when he was in Dallas for a while. He comes back, looks a little rusty. His first jumper hits front rim. He doesn't score a ton of points in the game. The shot's not all the way back yet. What in his post game, what did he have to say about how it felt to be like out on the court here after, basically like 8-9 days after the trade? Yeah.
I mean, he said he was rusty for sure. He said it's the longest that he's ever gone without playing basketball since he's been a pro, which I thought was interesting. But he said that, once it tipped off, once he was back in the game, that it was like New Jersey, new situation. It's still basketball, and basketball is what he does. And it's what he's always done since he was a kid. So I think the weight of the new team and the debut was definitely present, and there were nerves there in the beginning. But as soon as there's actual basketball being played, I think that's his comfort zone, and that's where he thrives. So I think he was able to sort of get back to himself in a way, which is really cool.
Claire, you've covered this team for the last couple of seasons now, and like LeBron is no longer the guy on the team, and it's crazy to say that because it's Luka that is the guy. And so it is a feeling of like, should they try and prioritize both of them? Is there this sort of rift that could possibly happen? And do you feel like LeBron is working to appease that? He had that "don't fit in, fit out" quote that's going viral. There's like him allowing him to play and be introduced late in the starting lineup or be last in the starting lineup. Does any of that play into this idea, or is LeBron actually trying to make things work with Luka?
I mean, I think LeBron is trying to make things work. I also think he's incredibly media savvy. He sees all, he knows all. He knows that narrative has been out there, that he's unhappy that, there was a story that came out today on ESPN that he, it didn't go unnoticed that Luka got what he wanted as soon as he got here, when LeBron's been asking them to move those picks for years. But I think at the end of the day, A, he is a really good leader, and he does want Luka to feel comfortable. And B, there's nothing LeBron James wants more than to win another championship. And this is the best chance he's had in ages. So at the end of the day, first in the starting lineup, last in the starting lineup, the initiator of the offense playing off ball, I don't think he really cares. I think he just wants to win, because he knows what a 5th ring would do for his legacy more than anyone. And
would be huge. Yeah.
I think that's the priority. That's the most important thing to him. Obviously, I'm sure it feels weird to like have your successor come before you're done. And also when you're still playing, he's playing at a top 10 level right now. He's playing out of his mind on both ends of the ball for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So to be still very close to your peak and be already training in and sort of like grooming your successor, I think must be bizarre and kind of hard to stomach in some ways. But if they win a chip, it's all water under the bridge. Like, LeBron just wants to win.
Well, let's talk about their ceiling this year. The Mark Williams trade, it looks like it's going to be rescinded, although the news did come out yesterday that the Hornets are going to maybe try to block that. We'll see if they have success. But we were pretty high on that trade. S and I were. We thought that it really it put a championship ceiling on this team because it's such a perfect fit. But obviously Jackson Hayes is a bit of a drop off from Mark Williams. Maybe they're going to hit the buyout market and find a center. But I want to know from you, what do you think this team's ceiling is this season realistically?
I mean, I think like the ceiling lowered slightly maybe with the Mark Williams trade not happening. I will say their small ball lineups have been incredible. And they do have like Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith to kind of like buoy that small ball lineup. And those guys are dogs and they're big. So they do have that. I think Luka raises Jackson's ceiling. So as much as like their ceiling is lowered by the Mark Williams trade not happening, Jackson Hayes automatically becomes a better offensive player with someone like Luka to throw him lobs. And I think they are going to get some sort of center either on the buyout market or a free agent or whatever it is. But I think for me, they still have a championship ceiling. I feel less confident about that ceiling than I did a few days ago when I thought they had a starting center. But I think they've been playing incredible basketball without a starting center. And I think this is a playoff. This team is built for the playoffs besides that one position. I think they have really good 3-and-D wings who can defend out of their minds. They have 3 of the best ball handler, facilitator, in shot makers in the league in Austin, Luka, and LeBron. And if LeBron can have someone taking some of that load off of him offensively, where he can put that effort in on the defensive end, he is 6'8". He's a big guy. So they have big bodies. They just don't have centers. So I think that ceiling is still there, but it definitely is impacted.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I would not want to face LeBron and Luka in the playoffs, regardless of situation. That's tough. And look, maybe the matchup comes by where the big situation is something that they have to deal with. Like you got to face Jokic in the playoffs, or Zubats in the playoffs, or Chet and Hartenstein in the playoffs. That's when it becomes a situation. But ultimately, you don't want to face LeBron and Luka. That's the final point with this Lakers team.
Well, I think that's a pretty good place to stop. I mean, look, Luka is the biggest story. Luka to the Lakers is the biggest story since I started covering the NBA. So we're going to be doing this for the rest of the season for sure. Our head is not going to stop spinning until the tables stop crashing at crypto.com. Claire De Lune, you guys can read her at The Guardian. Go and check her out. She does a really great job covering the NBA. Claire, thank you so much for hanging around while they clean up and joining us on the show. That's going to do it for us today. For Claire, for Es Baraheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.